tremendous looking trophy.
Welcome to the #1 PlayStation podcast in the Oceanias. My name is John Blunt. Joining me, as always, Ashley Hobley.
Hey John, excited to be here and excited to tell you that God of War's leaking. Don't stay off of the internet.
That's right.
Just listen to Platinum Explosion when you would have been scrolling Twitter.
I know.
Start from the beginning.
I was like, are you implying that people always listen to the show like while scrolling Twitter, or like what's the...
No, they should pay full attention to
right, so pay full attention to the video version and stop scrolling Twitter.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
That way you won't be spoiled.
Yes, good bit. Good bit. This week in the trophy cabinet, Platinum, God of War, previews are everywhere. There's things everywhere. You're probably not going to have it spoiled for you, other than if you are looking at that one person's Twitter account. And so, just quickly, in case you don't know, there are...
Those are famous last words, you know?
They're on Reddit too, so... yeah, in case you don't know...
I'm sure they'll be spread everywhere before you know it. It's like, check out these new images from God of War Ragnarok. They're
all over Gaming Leaks Reddit, is where they've ended up. So, Sony, I believe, has pulled them from... or got them off Twitter, but now they're out there and open. So yeah, look, unfortunately, the game's what? When's it coming out? The 9th, right? What's that? 2 weeks?
Yeah, it's like 2 weeks.
Yeah. So you unfortunately have to dodge spoilers for 2 weeks. So look, and I don't want to speak too bad because it seems very weird. Look, I'm obviously not going to tell you what was in the pictures or anything like that, but the pictures were just being posted with the hashtag PS4 share or whatever, PS5 share, whatever it is that comes up.
Yeah.
So it's almost like they were automated and this person forgot that their Twitter account, I don't know, like it just seems very weird because there was just a lot of screenshots just getting posted. You know what I mean? There was no context at all to anything. So I'll put it this way. If this person has done this on purpose, you know, obviously, fuck you. I hope you don't get review codes anymore. If it's by accident, I kind of feel bad for them because if I ever did something like this, like accidentally activated auto posting and started posting, you know what I mean? Like I would feel, I would be terrible. I'd be like tweeting out apologies left, right, and center, and like emailing Sony or whoever. I'd be like, I'm sorry, please.
How did nobody notice? It must be an independent person, you know what I mean?
I assume
that would be the only thing I can think of. It's like, unless they just not noticing as their phone is blowing up, with like people on Twitter like following them and going,
it's almost like that. It's almost
crazy.
like
Love God of War.
Yeah, but it's almost like that Twitter account was made solely to post so they could just grab screenshots off it. Like it wasn't their main one.
It's not a public. It's not like a
not
100 followers or something.
Yeah, like it's odd, is what it is. All right, God of War though. Your boy's been playing it. Woo!
Have you?
Yeah. I got the second round. I got the big old. Everyone else got it.
See, I didn't see the email come through. So I
was fucking quick. It popped up. So the whenever the preview embargo broke, like let's say the preview embargo broke at like 6 a.m. in the morning. I can't remember what time. Say it came through like 5 hours before that. So it was like, hey, the preview embargo's up in a couple hours or whatever. Here's your code. You know what I mean? It was like,
there it is.
The
email.
Something
right at the top. I didn't see it there.
Sorry. Yeah, well. I didn't know if I should prep you coming in, but the show note says PS Gaming God of War Ragnarok.
I'm like, I guess you know, we're going to talk about everybody else's preview coverage.
No, talk about mine. So I don't know how much I want to talk about it because it's odd. So the embargo PlayStation / Sony's given to everyone for like how much they can talk about. It's either going to be, it's somewhere between, I would say, the first, I don't know, maybe like 5 to 7-ish hours of the game, depending on like if you're fucking
So what
around.
You're saying is it's longer than 5 to 7 hours?
Yes, correct.
Exclusive.
Mind blown. It's a rather big chunk of time, but it both feels like a big chunk of gameplay, but also at the same time, the game also feels like it's still got like a fuck ton left. Like it's both a lot, but not at the same time. So obviously, I just said on like, you know, dodge spoilers on Twitter. I'm not going to bother really talking about any of the story stuff here. I don't know if other podcast preview articles have touched on more of the story stuff. The most I'll sort of say is like, because this is a game where people care more about the story than I feel the gameplay. People like are coming into it for the story between Kratos and Atreus. All I'll say is like the setup is it starts, I think it's 3 years later, like roughly something like that, I think is right. And it had like the setup to the game is literally they've been training. Like Kratos and Atreus are training. They know that one day Odin, Thor, like they're coming. Like one day they can only sort of try and escape from their what's coming for them eventually because of the events of the first game. So they've been training. They also have Freya that's still out to get them everywhere for the trying to get revenge for Baldur and all that sort of stuff. So the setup is literally Kratos and Atreus are still living in the same home. They've managed to like get a sort of protective spell around it to keep people out. But they know that eventually Freya, Thor, Odin, like something's going to go wrong and they're going to come from. And not really a spoiler, but guess what? Something goes wrong. that's the spoiler. So yes, you do see, and look, there are like the day that preview coverage dropped, PlayStation published some new screenshots for the game. All of those screenshots are from within what people are allowed to talk about. So yes, obviously you meet Thor within the first like 5 hours of the game. I'm not going to say how that interaction goes down or anything like that, but like, you know, that's kind of cool. I'll say that I was going to come into this with one big pitch. This game, at some point, so I'm done talking about story at this point, basically.
Okay. This
game, as you know, God of War 1, I thought it was good. Like, it's a really good game. I'd probably given it like a 8.5 top.
You didn't love it like other people loved it.
Like, it sounds so bad because I'm like, I'd give it like an 8.5. Oh, so low score, Dylan. Why didn't you give it 10? You know what I mean? I feel like I'm so far liking this game like way more than the first one. Like,
ooh.
I feel like the majority of the problems I have, and I'm going to sum it up.
Caving to the public opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Something I'm a big fan once they send me it for free. You know what I mean? There is a scene, or no, there's a moment, like a gameplay sequence early in this game where I nearly spat it though, because you're in like a train and like you go along these tracks or whatever. No, it's like a pushcart, so it's not really a train.
Oh.
It's just like a pushcart. Like I'm not saying it's something that's steampunk God of War game. And there's pushcart thing, and anyway, you get attacked by enemies, and then as you like sort of Kratos and Atreus fall out, there's suddenly a fucking troll there, and he's right in front of Kratos' face, and I go, no. The fucking trolls! I was like ready to save this clip. Come on here, like, guess what, Ash? Did my first fucking troll mini boss fight. But guess what happened? I didn't even get to take control. Kratos cuts this motherfucker's head straight off, and then you go and fight other enemies instead. I was like, they did it for me. They've been listening to the podcast. They were like, the troll shows up. They're like, you don't have to fight him. Go on.
So what you're saying, Dylan, is they did a troll.
They did a troll. That's correct.
So can you spoil how many... They trolled you with the troll. Yeah. Can you confirm... Do you want to spoil if you've had any of the troll encounters?
Troll encounters? Just the one. That's it. I haven't had to fight any trolls. You heard it here first. As far as Platinum Explosion exclusives for God of War Ragnarok goes, 0 troll fights. 1 troll encounter, cinematic dealt with. I don't want to fight any more of them. I've done my duty, sirs. I've fought 1 million of them. Fucking stupid multicolored trolls. Sick of them. Get out of my life. Combat feels really good. A lot better than the first one. So it's the thing. I can see here's what's going to happen. This game's going to come out for people like me who weren't like 10 out of 10 best game ever made. Had some like small issues and stuff. I feel like the reason I'm sort of really enjoying this a lot more is because it's iterative. iterative. Yes.
Iterative.
Yes. So it's just building upon the foundation of the first game, of course. So to me, that's fantastic for someone who had room for things to be fixed up and expand upon and all these other things. What I can see happening because of this, though, is that people who already thought the first game was 10 out of 10 amazing, possibly going to come into this one and be disappointed because it's not the same mind-blowing like you play God of War, the 2018 one, for the first time, and it's so different to everything else before it. So that was like a big part of the wow factor. But that's not the same for this. This is a sequel to that. This is building upon that. So the same can be said for the combat. I mean, you don't have the long build up to eventually Kratos getting the Blades of Chaos like you do in the first game, of course. You have access to the axe and the blades in this first game straight away. So that's so straight away you can switch it up, and it's very similar in which you can upgrade these things and whatever else, but there's a lot more animations and stuff. So I was actually reading, I never clicked onto this, but it actually makes sense. So in the first game, because of course the majority of it you only have the axe, all the finishing moves, even if you have the blades out in that game and you go to do a finishing move, he switches back to the axe. He never actually uses the blades, right? The Blades of Chaos. But in this game, you've got finishing moves for the blades, you've got finishing moves for the axe, and like, if you love some bloody gory cutting, enemies in half and all that sort of stuff that you're used to in a God of War game, I haven't seen the same one twice yet, I don't feel. There's a whole bunch of sick-ass finishing moves. You get the shield thing was obviously a thing they talked about. Early in the game, Kratos sort of gets the shield expanded upon and built upon. I feel like maybe it's going to expand more as the game progresses. I just get an inkling it's going to be part of the main, maybe a big part of the game. I don't know. I could be wrong. But the other thing that makes this game feel a lot better is what would you call it? Like, sort of, I feel like, so in the first game, and again, this is probably due to the fact it was the majority of that game you're playing with just the axe. All the combat areas are like arenas, I guess. Like, there's no verticality to them and everything. And I think we discussed this whenever they've released. Remember that they released like the small gameplay videos and like there's enemies up on the higher ledges and Kratos is like, grabbing, pulling himself up those with the Blades of Chaos. And then once he gets up there, he's coming, he's attacking enemies up there, and then he's jumping down from there to attack enemies. Like, the combat and the areas in which you're fighting in just feel a lot more open, and there's a lot more going on. It's not just, oh, hey, you're surrounded by like 5 goons around you. There's enemies early in the game that would like, they're clinging to the side of walls and they're like spitting stupid acid shit from you there. And then you'll have ones above you on a different ledge. So you got to be like really aware of like your surroundings and what's going on around everywhere. And it feels pretty sick when you can do the juggling combos where you do like R2 with the axe, you hit an enemy up into the air, you start comboing them while they're in the air. You still do the thing where Atreus, you press square to command him to like do his arrow attacks and stuff like that. So you like combo this enemy in the air, you suddenly turn to your left, you see an enemy up there, you use the chains, pull yourself up there, you whack the living shit out of that with a whatever. Then you can turn around, you can switch to the chains, you can literally grab an enemy that's floating, like these fucking flying things in the air, you can grab those, pull. Like, it just feels a lot more, it feels more like playing a fucking like a Doom game to me at some point, with the like from the outset just having more both weapons, the combo moves, and all that sort of stuff. And you still have the stuff like you did in the first game where you get skill points, of course, you can upgrade abilities, but then you also get, I can't remember actually what they're officially called, but like the runestone things. So then like, it's like L1, R1 or whatever, like activates different attacks. So, and those go on cooldown, and so you could use one with the axe, and then the one on the chains is not on cooldown, so you can quickly combo into that. There's other things where some enemies they introduced this very early in the game. There's some enemies that are like weak to fire attacks. So that's like the chains. Chains are fire things. Other enemies may be weak to ice, so you can switch the axe. So from the outset, just having both the weapons, it feels like the whole game's combat's just been built a lot more around switching up and using them both, which I think makes it feel a lot better than the first. Like, the first game's combat is really good, but it was like sort of slower paced, I guess, because it was built around having the axe for the 8/10 of the game. I don't know when I feel like it's not even 3 like bit over when you get the chains, like it's way towards the end of the game. I feel like
I'd say like maybe 2/3 of the way through.
Mm-hmm.
So
still, obviously, a big chunk of that game is
without it.
Yeah. Now, not story wise, but I will just touch on the thing. So as I thought, the relationship between Atreus and Kratos was like, I got what they were going for in the first game. You know, the whole sort of Kratos is this sort of distant father. He's very macho, manly, you know, like grunt boy, all this sort of thing. Yet he's trying to be this father figure. I think, and it was fine. I got it. It didn't hit any soft spots for me. I didn't really like fall in love with that relationship. Their relationship in this game,
that's because you're not a dad.
It's all about that. The relationship in this game is, I think, working so much better for me. And again, I'm not like going into spoilers or story reasons, but there's just so many times where, especially because Atreus is 3 years older, so I don't know. Do you ever get an age for him? Because I feel like he's a teenager here. I guess is like what I don't know how old.
I would say so, based on the age of the actor who plays Atreus.
Yeah, and there was those stories that they had to go back and actually fix voice lines because his voice broke or whatever or something like that, or changed as he got older as I was recording. But so he's like a teenager here, and he's definitely a lot more like, he has his own opinions of things. He's in the 3 years between the two games, he's like trying to do more research about his own lineage, about his mother's lineage, you know, like all these sorts of things. Like he's very much his own person. And Kratos is definitely still somewhat protective of him and wants, you know, doesn't want him to die or anything like that. But he more or less just lets Atreus like lead him through decisions, and he'll just like question him or like sort of ask him moral dilemmas, or like, you know, he'll tell him off at certain times. But there's also scenes where Atreus will be talking to, I think there's a scene very early in the game where the two dwarves from the first game that like upgrade all your I can't remember their names, but the two dwarves that upgrade all your stuff in the first game, they're back, of course. That's not a spoiler. And then like the first time you bump into them, like Atreus has talked to them and he's upgrading one of them's upgrading Atreus's bow or whatever, and Kratos is just sort of in the background, and you can almost feel like he's just like watching with a proud sense of fatherly love. Like it's almost like there's like a slight smile there. Like he's not participating in the conversation at all, or even having a word. He doesn't like boy, he doesn't grunt. He's just literally watching as Atreus sort of does everything. So I feel like the dynamic is very different in this game to the first one, but it feels very much like, obviously I would never tell someone to play this game, as much as I'm so far, I think I'm like 8 hours in now or something. Like I'm past like I'm past the point of where I could tell you about. But obviously, I'm enjoying it so much more than the first game. As someone, like, again, I did think the first game was good. Fucking hell. But I would never tell someone to play this one without playing the first one, because I feel like their relationship is, and like having this sense and all these things I'm thinking about as I'm playing it, that's all reliant on you understanding what they went through in the first game. There is a thing in the main menu, like, you know, new game, continue, all that stuff. They have a God of War recap. It's okay. It's very short. I would say if you are feeling like you can't remember everything that happened in the first game.
If you haven't done a replay, then, you know.
Yeah, I would find a YouTuber who probably has like a 20-minute one, or, you know, something maybe a bit more in depth or something. If you feel like you can't remember it. Like, I didn't watch one. I don't think the game, like, the plot's that. I felt like I didn't remember everything I should. But if you feel like you can't remember everything that happened, or you want to recap, I would say the one in the game's okay as sort of I watched it and it jogged my memory enough for someone who I can remember all the baseline. But if you're really like, fuck, I can't remember anything that happened in that game, I haven't thought about it for years, I would say probably go invest in watching something a bit
longer.
Yeah.
Featuring more trolls, yeah.
Yeah, featuring more trolls.
Then you can appreciate
maybe
the troll bit.
The last thing I'll say, I guess, is also, so Not for me, but this has been talked about. Obviously, the accessibility features are like again for it's very great to see all that stuff. Like there is just a shit ton in here. I feel like it's all like I want to give Naughty Dog all the credit because other people have done it, but I feel like Naughty Dog really like with the Last of Us.
They
stuff,
got the ball rolling.
Yeah, they really because this game is just it's that level of just you can customize nearly everything in the game. I feel. And then
maybe they didn't get the ball rolling, but they got like sped it up significantly.
Yeah. And then like visuals, performance wise, the game to me looks slightly better than what I remember the first one looking like. But that's like the first game's fucking amazing looking game that has all these big levels and open areas and whatever else. And this game's exactly the same. So I'm surprised it looks as good as it does for it's not a fully linear game. I mean, there are like the first, basically the preview embargo sort of rules or whatever. I can talk more about, but again, I can't because I just don't want to go spoil things. But there are like the first realm you go to is like the dwarf realm. I can't remember the name, but it's similar to. Do you remember the first game when the first time you get the boat and you go into the area where the snake or whatever is, and you're sort of free to start fucking around.
The world serpent, yes.
The world serpent. You're sort of free to start like you can go explore areas and maybe do some side activities. So that sort of area, very similar. It's water, boat. It's a very beautiful area.
So it is. There is a open world element to the game.
Maybe not all the worlds. That's the thing. Like I can't say like every realm's going to be the same because
but like the central.
Yeah. Well.
Homeworld.
No. There is a home world that's different. So there is a hub area like where you're coming back to speak to your companions, but it's different to the first to that.
Okay.
But that like I done everything I could in that area. Even though I was like I've got the embargo is like not until November 3rd, 4th, something like that. I don't remember. And I got it late. But also I was having a lot of fun. Like it does that whole thing where you pull in on the boat and it's like Atreus is literally like, hey, there's the main quest. It's literally 100 meters away that way. Or look at all the shit over there. And I was like, oh no, this place looks pretty fun.
That shit looks pretty cool.
That shit looks pretty cool. But I didn't have that for the first game because I actually thought that area looked, I don't know, maybe it was just the setting or just like it didn't look as fun to explore for me or something. Like I did a few areas and then eventually I was like, oh, I'm just going to go do the main quest. Whereas this one, I was having so much more, I just enjoyed looking around this area a lot more. And it is like, it's a green area too. Like it's not like, it doesn't look like crap. And, there's one really cool side quest in here, that they did say, do not mention this, what happens in this side quest. And I can understand why, but, it's, very cool, worth seeing that through. Yeah, but so visually very beautiful, all these details. I'm constantly looking at Kratos' beard going, fuck, there's like the hair particles and stuff like that. So it looks really good. The two settings you'll have on, this is stuff Ash doesn't care about, but the two settings you'll have on normal TV. So you have the 60 frames per second performance mode, which I feel like these are just the standard for all PS5 games now, I feel. You got 60 seconds performance mode, and then you've got the 30 frames per second, the visual one that runs at 4K fully. However, if you have a 2.1 HDMI enabled TV like I do, you get access to two other modes. So you get access to a 120 frames per second mode, and the one I've spent the majority of the time playing on, which is actually a 40 frames per second at 4K mode. So
40 frames seems weird.
Well, it's just because usually you can only, because it's locked at 30 and 4K on normal TV. So it's just they get that extra 10. They can get that extra 10 frames and still lock it at
extra 10 frames a second.
Yep.
Squish them in there.
Squish them in there. That's right. I would say the game feels the best playing if you have access at either the 60 or 120. 120 feels fucking insane, super smooth and everything like that. If I was trying to play this game on the hardest difficulty, playing on that feels so good, makes combat like obviously easier slightly because of the blocking. And
so what you're saying is more frames makes the game easier.
Yeah, sure. But I've spent. I
mean, that's literally what you're saying.
It does. I mean, to a degree, it makes it easier. But the one I've spent the most time playing on, because again, like this is a very cinematic game. I actually sort of like want it to look good. If I would almost just play it at 30 frames 4K if I didn't like if that was the option between that and 60. It feels okay, but that extra 10 frames again. Ash is just like, this is gibberish, mate. It's fucking, he's trying not to laugh. For people who care, that extra 10 frames, if you have access, I think the 40 frames at 4K mode feels really fucking good. And you still get the full 4K resolution. So if you have access to that, that's sort of that's probably the way I'm just going to keep playing the game. I think it feels really good as someone who's, I'm looking for I want the full visual fidelity in this game, but that extra 10 frames does feel like it's substantially better than the 30. So.
Wow, Gotham Knights screwed up. They should have got stuck another extra 10 frames in.
Well, I don't want to shit talk.
That would have kept people happy.
I don't know how don't get me started on that game. Got any like random questions or anything that you like think I might be able to answer or anything like that?
But nothing super springs to mind. What's the like skill tree element? Does it feel like it's rewarding? The collectibles? Yeah, so
I've actually done pretty good with the collectibles so far. I've found like a shit ton. So you've got Odin's Ravens are back. There's still a butt ton of those to find. Similar to the first game, you'll hear them. And I feel like it's a testament to how good my headphones are because I'm constantly hearing them like sort of like I'll be walking around and I'll hear like, some whatever stupid noise they're making. I'll get those. Yeah, some shit like that.
That's what Ravens sound like.
Yeah, I don't know. Then you've got like random artifacts, lore books, like if there's stuff, if you want to dive into like the, other random gods and sort of Norse mythology sort of stuff.
Norse mythology,
there's a whole bunch of like stuff you can pick up as collectibles and you can read like those entries and stuff like that. So there's definitely a lot more here for that for people who care. Skill tree and everything works the same as the first game. So you get XP after every battle and then the upgrades will cost like 500 points or, whatever stuff like that. So you can upgrade the axe and the chains, and then Atreus's has like similar sort of upgrades to the first game again, where it's like, he'll hold enemies for longer, or like stuff like that he just does on himself. All of those you upgrade, and then like the ones that gatekeep locked behind, like you have to upgrade the axe or the chains to like its next level, and to get them to the next level, that's where you have to find like particular materials that are usually hidden in chests off the beaten path. So if you do just rush the game, you probably won't get to upgrade your weapons much because other than maybe a handful they give you on main quest lines that are with chests directly in front of you, I feel like you'll miss a lot of them. And there's also like a lot of I've done a bunch of optional side quest boss fights, just like again exploring that open area and stuff like that, and they give you a bunch of rewards, materials to upgrade your weapons, your armor, all that sort of stuff as well. I haven't looked if you can I think in the first game you could dismantle. The only thing I'm worried about again is like if I use material, you could dismantle stuff. I haven't actually looked to see if I could do that to like.
I think you could, yeah.
Yeah. Because I could definitely like at the moment, like the set of armor I've got on, I could probably put a bunch more materials into it, upgrading it a bit, but I'm trying to do that thing I usually do in games like this where I sort of upgrade it, and then maybe if I'm getting my ass handed to myself like too hard, then I'm like maybe I need to upgrade my armor or weapon a bit more, but I get so scared of just committing every resource I have into one thing, and then
armor thing, because then you'll pick up another
then you pick up something that's so much better. Yeah, exactly. So I'm not
no, that's understandable.
Yeah.
How does Atreus play in this? Is it much the same as the first one? Improvement?
I feel like he's basically this. I feel like he's slightly smarter, I guess, but I don't feel like it's much different to the first game. In combat, he will. And again, I've played the first one since like for ages, but
release.
He will do a lot more, and it feels better than the first one, where so an enemy's coming at you from behind, and because of the whole fixed camera angle, one shot thing that they're doing again. I don't know if I should have mentioned that, but I'm sure everyone knows. You'll see like a little symbol saying like it'll go like orange to red when an enemy's about to hit you from behind, but he will also yell like behind you, like, and all that sort of stuff. So it feels like he's doing quite well. Or so will Mimir, who's along for the journey as well. One of them will yell out. So the game feels like it does a good job of both visually and then audibly, sort of like the characters are making aware. But yeah, Atreus is like auto attacking enemies. Once you get those upgrades, he'll jump on them. Like stun them, grab them, all that sort of stuff. And then you can just press square to do his like more powerful arrow shots. And he always attacks the enemy that I've never seen him not shoot the one I want him to shoot. Like if I'm attacking one, I'm like, fucking shoot the one I'm attacking, not the one behind me sort of thing. I'm like, I want this one dead. Combat, I'm playing on just normal difficulty, of course. I feel like for the majority of enemies for like the first 5 hours, not super tough. There's like a handful of boss fights that feel not like straight up mini bosses with a thing at the top of the screen with like a name or anything, but they're definitely stronger than your standard enemies, and they've got like a shit ton of health, you have to wear them down. It doesn't feel like super hard, but at the same time, it is definitely like you can't just button mash your way to. You'll just die if you just try and button mash. You still have to like block and dodge out of the way of certain attacks. You'll lose a lot of health pretty quickly. But then there was an enemy type introduced more recently where stuff got a lot harder. Like, so I can see the game, like particular stuff that, again, like stuff I haven't seen in the first game, like just different enemy types and stuff. So,
yeah.
But it has like 4 or 5 difficulty settings, you know, like the usual sort of like story mode equivalent where I'm sure it's like piss easy, then like a easy mode where it's still like you could die, I guess, and then normal and hard, and then you want to fucking hate your life hard, you know? Like,
cool.
Yeah.
So you're excited to keep playing?
Yeah, for sure. I was up to
Is it something you're looking to platinum?
I don't know, because it's the stupid collectibles and shit. It's the same reason I didn't do it in the first place. So it's just like, by the time I started,
Ravens.
At some point I did start like going around trying to collect the Ravens. I was like following a guide or whatever, and then I was just like, I'm bored with this, and then I just couldn't be bothered going back and doing it. So who knows? Maybe I just get lucky and like, as I said, like I feel like I'm
if you got like 90% of the Ravens
by myself or something, I'd be like, yeah, hell yeah. I bet you I'm saying this where I'm like, I feel like I'm getting so many Ravens, and then like I'll get to the end of the game and
I'll the end, it's like 30 of 160.
Yeah, so it'll be something like that. I'll be like, damn, I really thought I was doing so well. I know I did just clear an area where like, and I'm assuming that the collectible is only for this particular the area I was in or whatever, and I got like 13 out of 14. I was like, I missed one, but also 13 out of 14. I'm like, I'm 30. Like, I'm pretty happy with that. Like, knowing there was only one to go back there and find, hopefully. So, I would just give me, at the end of the game, just give me a fucking thing where I can just, I don't have to, I hate following guides. It's just so, I just hate like scrolling, you know, like constantly having to look back and forth between a phone and stuff. I'd much rather just the game give me a, you know, like an item that I can just, like a
Isn't there like some sort of system inside the PlayStation 5 that will give you?
I mean, if it wants to tell me where all the collectibles are, yes, I would love that. I'm totally down for that. I'm totally for that. But yes, that is God of War Ragnarok. It is out, what did I say before? November 9th. The review embargo is November 3rd or 4th, one of those 2 days. So either way, you're not hearing more about the game for another...
A while, yeah.
A while, yeah, so... But yeah, I'll try and smash through it, I guess. Depends how much more distracted I guess by side quests. But I'm also like, I'm enjoying this stuff, so I'm like, do I want to play it properly or do I just want to try and smash through it? It's hard.
Yeah.
Bring it a bit. Well, let's talk about a few news stories for this week. I only got a couple because, to be honest, PlayStation's news cycle this week was God of War previews, all up, and then, yeah, nothing else much happened. First, I do want to quickly mention, right before we started recording, I did pre-order the DualSense Edge. Yeah. So, I don't know if you need to pre-order it. I did it just in case. I feel like the PlayStation scorned me. I just, like, everything's just so hard to get these days. I don't know. So,
yeah, I think there'll be ones readily available because people are being put off by the price.
Possibly.
I've like already seen Twitter this morning. Like, there's a small blow up of people like, "What, $320 for a controller? That's crazy."
They announced the price weeks ago whenever they announced it. Or
they didn't announce the Australian price,
did they? Okay.
No, but
I mean, there was conversions.
Those of us in the know could do the conversions
the
and that kind of stuff. Yeah. So we kind of had an idea that it was going to cost this much, but it is not a cheap investment. But
no.
If you're a dedicated PlayStation player and love the back buttons and want the best possible version of the DualSense.
I mean, the Xbox Pro Elite controller is like $300 as well.
250.
Isn't it? 250. I thought it was more. I thought it was closer
for the most elite one. Is what I saw.
Really? I thought it was like $2, or maybe it's gone down in price. Maybe at launch it was more or something. I swear that was like $299 at launch.
I feel like I pulled this from the Xbox site. Okay, yeah,
could be. So yeah, it is
the Series 2. Yeah.
Either way, it is a bit more expensive, and that's sort of the main contention point, I guess, that people have with it. The fact that Xbox One's cheaper, but yeah, is what it is. Anyway, I pre-ordered it. It's not out until early January, of course, but if I see it somewhere else cheaper and it's going to be readily available, I can always just cancel it. I did that thing where I'm like, just in case, I will put my money down. So I will have DualSense and actually by the time it comes out early January, after we take like a couple week break or whatever, it probably work out will be like the first or second episode back next year. We'll be talking about DualSense Edge.
Yeah.
There you go.
You know, PlayStation, if you want to send us some...
If you want to send me one to play over the holiday break ahead of January's release date, shout out to your boy. You know? I know you're listening. To make sure I didn't spoil anything from God of War.
Yeah.
First proper news story. So PlayStation Lifestyle writes, is Parasite Eve being revived by PlayStation? Do you know what Parasite Eve is, Ash?
It's a game.
Yep.
PlayStation game, right?
Smashed it. Square Enix recently filed a trademark that has fans hoping for the revival of the beloved PlayStation series Parasite Eve. The action role-playing horror video games have not seen... That's why you don't like it. Or don't know what it is. Horror games have not been seen new entry since 2011, but that hasn't stopped fans, including us, from keeping fingers crossed for a new game. As pointed out by Gamatsu, symbiogenesis, described as the merging of two separate organisms to form a new single organism, is the concept basis of the 1995 novel Parasite Eve, which was later turned into a series of video games for PlayStation platforms by none other than Square Enix. Which is interesting because Square Enix recently trademarked something called symbiogenesis. So this is where all the fan theory speculation come from. I'd be totally down. I think this is a franchise. So the last one, 2011, I actually got the collector's edition for. It was a PSP game. Parasite Eve, third birthday. It was a third person entry. That was the last one. So why do you give me that look? What is it? PSP? Come on.
Why do PSP games have collector's editions? That's what I'm asking. Like, what was in the Parasite Eve PSP collector's edition?
Art book? And like one of those small ones, you know, like the rectangular sort of.
Was it bigger than the actual case of the game?
Yeah, it would have been just, yes. Correct. It would have been. I mean, like it was in a box, like a box, and then inside the box it's no different than like Nintendo Switch collector's editions. Inside you get the game.
Nintendo Switch is like a massive console. So.
Why is she talking to PSP? What the fuck's wrong with you? Anyway, Parasite Eve, I'd be totally down. It's a very cool franchise that sort of just disappeared out of nowhere. I presume because they put the last entry on the PSP and they were like, why didn't this sell 1 million copies? I was like, well, because you put it on the fucking PSP. Like, you know. It'd be cool.
How's it going to tie into Bong Joon-ho's film?
No, that's not related. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Yes, he did make a movie, but no, it's not related to this at all. What the fuck? Jesus Christ.
Parasite. I was talking about Parasite, yes, the Academy Award winning film Parasite.
You could probably see my brain.
Took you way too long to figure that.
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? I would love to see it also, because I spent the last couple of weeks complaining about, or whenever it was, other weeks saying, not enough PS1 classic games, but the Parasite Eve.
I've seen some calls, you know, because Square Enix has done a solid job of like putting classic ports out for their games. So like put out the classic port, let people spend their money on it, or put it on PS Plus Classics or Deluxe, whatever, whichever tier.
It's hard to keep up. Talking about that though, let me just pull ahead this one. PS Plus Extra Premium / Deluxe here in Australia users can no longer see games when leave service, writes PlayStation Lifestyle. This is a weird decision, but they write, a stealth change made by Sony has removed the ability to see PS Plus Extra / Deluxe games expiry dates. The issue was first highlighted by Twitter user PS5 Play _ and Push Square, who noted that while the last chance to play tab is still in place to warn users which games are about to leave the service, we can no longer see the exact dates when games will be removed. It's unclear if this was a deliberate change or yet another PS Store glitch that Sony will quietly fix. I would hope it's a glitch because that's odd. I don't know why you would I don't know why they would choose to get rid of the date. Xbox makes it very evident when games are leaving and gives you plenty of time to purchase them with the 20% off discount and all that sort of stuff. I feel like not showing when a game's leaving is making it harder for people to potentially spend money and be like, oh fuck, I'm like halfway through this game. Actually, no, I'll just buy it now, or like something like that. So I don't know why you would get rid of the expiry date. It seems odd. And then finally, shout out if you want some Horizon Forbidden West tie-in clothes, ASOS or ASOS, I don't know how you say it. Anyway, that clothing company / website and PlayStation have teamed up to release an exclusive collection of Horizon Forbidden West designed unisex streetwear. This is available in Australia, so unlike most of these games / clothing things that happen where then some reason they never become available in Australia, or you have to
pay the exact same amount
in shipping to get them here. Yes. This one is actually available, and you can get free shipping even, because by the time you pay for any of this stuff, it costs a fucking arm and a leg. But it's released under Guerrilla Games merchandise brand Horizon Raw Materials, which I didn't know was a thing they'd done. But anyway, it ranges from shirts to joggers, all sorts of other things. They're still all up as of recording. Prices range from $52 to $152. So check out any of that if you are a big Horizon fan and you want some, I don't know, there's tracksuits and stuff, basically. I don't know. The only thing I would potentially purchase is like maybe, like a tracksuit or something just to like chill around home. But the rest of this shit, I'm like, I would not wear that in public.
Yeah, that's not my style.
No way. There's some really like wild shit in here, but you do.
Although I'm pretty sure I saw Kieran just post.
Yeah, he could probably get away with it.
He can get away with it. Yeah.
I would like that. There's a sweatshirt that has like comic book parts on it. I'd probably go for that, or shirts. But there's also this very wild like blue all over print thing that I'm like, that's too much for me personally. But anyway, there's some, if you like Horizon, you can purchase that stuff. And I'll do it for this week's episode of Platinum Explosion. Of course, leave us any comments, questions, concerns. You can, if you've got questions about God of War that you want me to talk about, I guess, like when the review embargo's up, like, but aren't spoiler related, I can answer those next week or something. Do all that. Tweet explosionnetwork.com/Twitter takes you to all the Twitters. explosionnetwork.com/Discord takes you to Discord, so you can talk to us on either of those places. And if you like this episode and thought it was worth $1, head on over to explosionnetwork.com/support to buy us a coffee. Help support this show, help support explosionnetwork.com. And until next week, remember, every trophy counts.